We all go through pain. It's part of life, loss, failure, disappointment, rejection. Pain is unavoidable, but what is avoidable is letting it define who we are. Pain does not have to be the end of the story. In fact, it can be the beginning of a new one. Every challenge you face has the potential to transform you, not break you. Think about that. The very thing that feels like it's tearing you down can become the fuel that builds you up. You see, strength isn't built during comfort. It's built in struggle, in those moments when you're tired, broken, ready to give up. That's when your strength is being born. It's not about never falling. It's about rising every time you do. Turn your pain into power, use it as your fire, let it sharpen your mind, strengthen your heart, and ignite your purpose. Whether you're healing from a loss, recovering from failure, or rebuilding after a setback, know this: you have what it takes. You are stronger than you think, and when you feel weak, remember, staying strong doesn't mean being invincible. It means refusing to quit. It means standing tall even when the weight of the world is on your shoulders. So take your pain, don't run from it, rise with it. Let it teach you, guide you, transform you, and most of all, let it remind you that within you lies the power to overcome anything. Pain is often viewed as something to avoid, to escape, or to numb. But what if we changed our perspective? What if, instead of seeing pain as an enemy, we saw it as a teacher? Life has a way of educating us in the most unexpected ways, and pain, as uncomfortable as it is, delivers some of its most unforgettable lessons. It doesn't come with a syllabus or a clear outline, but its lessons are etched deep into our minds and hearts. When we reflect on our toughest times, we often realize they were also the moments when we grew the most, learned the most, and changed the most. When we encounter emotional, physical, or mental pain, we're forced to stop and examine our reality. Pain disrupts routine. It grabs our attention in ways that nothing else can. It pushes us to ask deeper questions. Why did this happen? What can I do differently? Or what does this mean for me? These questions, though hard, lead to clarity. Pain forces us out of autopilot and invites us into self-awareness. Through this process, we begin to understand not only the circumstances around us, but also the choices we've made, the people we've surrounded ourselves with, and the direction of our lives. Some of the greatest breakthroughs in life come through breakdowns. A broken heart teaches us about love, boundaries, and self-worth. A failed dream teaches us resilience, redirection, and the value of persistence. A betrayal teaches us discernment, self-respect, and the importance of trust. These aren't just wounds. They are windows into ourselves. Pain doesn't just hurt. It reveals. It strips away illusions, reveals our vulnerabilities, and shows us what truly matters. In that sense, pain is a brutal but honest teacher. And unlike comfort, pain demands our growth. When life is easy, we're tempted to remain the same, but pain challenges that inertia. It pushes us beyond our limits and calls us to evolve. The discomfort it brings becomes the pressure that forges stronger character, sharper perspective, and deeper emotional depth. It tests our patience, our will, and our beliefs. And through those tests, we either find cracks or discover the steel beneath the surface. The lessons learned in pain are often the ones we never forget because they were earned, not given. Pain also teaches empathy. When you've suffered, you become more sensitive to the pain of others. You listen differently. You connect more deeply. You stop judging so quickly because you've lived through your own battles. This emotional intelligence, born from hardship, makes you a better friend, partner, leader, and human being. In this way, pain doesn't just teach us about ourselves. It teaches us how to live among others with compassion and grace. It humanizes us. Furthermore, pain can clarify priorities. After suffering loss or disappointment, we begin to see more clearly what we were chasing, and whether it was worth it. Sometimes pain shows us that we were climbing the wrong mountain or living by someone else's standards. It shakes us awake, revealing where we've compromised too much, stayed too long, or silenced our own voice. This awareness gives us the power to realign with our true purpose. It helps us return to what is authentic and meaningful. Another important thing pain teaches is endurance. There are some lessons in life that only time and pressure can teach. When you've had to keep going through hurt, rejection, illness, or failure, you begin to develop an inner strength. This strength isn't loud or boastful. It's quiet, steady, and resilient. It's the kind of strength that allows you to show up when everything in you wants to stay down. That strength, once developed, becomes part of who you are, and no one can take that from you. Lastly, pain teaches gratitude, though not immediately. Often, after coming through the other side of suffering, people find themselves more appreciative of life's simple things. A quiet morning, a supportive friend, a moment of laughter. When you've lived through dark seasons, the light feels warmer. The small blessings that once went unnoticed now feel like treasures, and that gratitude, born of struggle, deepens your joy and your appreciation for life. Resilience isn't something we're born with, it's something we build. And like any structure, it's forged under pressure, over time, and through hardship. People often admire others who seem strong or unshakable, but what they rarely see is the struggle behind that strength. Resilience is the result of showing up again and again, especially when it's hard. It's not about being untouched by pain or difficulty. It's about facing that pain head on and refusing to let it define you. Struggle, for all its weight and discomfort, is what chisels away the weak parts of us and reveals what we're truly made of. In moments of ease and comfort, there's very little need to grow. There's no urgency to dig deep, no pressure to stretch ourselves, and no reason to question what lies beneath the surface. But struggle changes that. It forces us out of complacency. It creates resistance, emotional, mental, sometimes even spiritual, that we are required to push against. Just as a muscle needs resistance to grow, our inner strength develops when life pushes us to our limits. Without challenge, there can be no change, and without struggle, there is no resilience. The beauty of resilience is that it doesn't always look heroic. Sometimes it looks like getting out of bed when you'd rather stay in it. Sometimes it's returning to work after a setback, showing up for a relationship that's been strained, or trying again after failing again. These small acts of strength might not get celebrated, but they matter. They matter deeply. It's in these quiet, private victories that the foundation of resilience is laid. The struggle may not disappear, but we get better at carrying its weight. With every hard day we endure, our capacity increases. Resilience also teaches us how to adapt. Struggle has a way of forcing us to be creative, to think in new ways, and to develop new coping mechanisms. When the easy path is blocked, we learn to carve out our own. We discover different strategies, deeper truths, and new aspects of ourselves we didn't know existed. We stop looking for shortcuts and start becoming solution-minded. This ability to adapt, not just survive, but find meaning in the challenge, is one of the most powerful traits a person can possess. Another aspect of resilience built through struggle is emotional control. When life is throwing chaos your way, and you still manage to choose how you react, that is strength, that is power. The ability to regulate your emotions under stress, to pause before responding, to ground yourself when everything feels like it's falling apart. These are skills born only in the heat of real struggle. You don't learn calm in calm, you learn calm in storms. Each struggle becomes a rehearsal for future moments of chaos, making you more prepared, more stable, and more in control of your world. Struggle also deepens your belief in yourself. After surviving things you once thought would break you, your self-perception changes. You begin to realize just how capable you truly are. This isn't arrogance, it's earned confidence. You look back on the battles you've fought and realize, if I made it through that, I can make it through this. That mindset becomes armor. It becomes a voice that speaks up when fear tries to stop you. It's a quiet, internal knowing that whatever happens, you won't fold. You've been tested, and you've proven to yourself what you can withstand. What's often misunderstood is that resilience doesn't mean being unaffected. It's not about suppressing emotions or pretending everything's okay. Real resilience includes breaking down, crying, feeling lost, but then continuing anyway. It's the courage to feel deeply, to grieve what needs grieving, and to keep moving forward. Struggle doesn't harden us, it refines us. It teaches us the value of vulnerability, the strength in honesty, and the resilience found in openness. It's in feeling the full weight of pain and still choosing to rise that we become unshakable. Perhaps most importantly, resilience built through struggle fosters a deeper purpose. Once you've been through the fire, your perspective shifts. You begin to recognize what truly matters. You develop a mission, not just to survive, but to live intentionally. You stop wasting time on things that don't feed your soul. The struggle clarifies your vision, shapes your values, and gives your journey a sense of meaning that only adversity can provide. It's not just about bouncing back, it's about bouncing forward, stronger, wiser, and more aligned with who you were meant to be. Life will throw things at you that you didn't ask for, a sudden loss, an unexpected betrayal, a failure that knocks the wind out of you. These are the moments that shake your world. But while you may not be able to control what happens to you, you always have the power to choose how you respond. That choice is where your true power lies. It's the line between reacting out of fear and responding with strength. And while it may not be easy, it is yours. And no one can take that away from you unless you give it up willingly. When pain hits, the instinct is often to react impulsively, to lash out, shut down, or spiral into despair. That's a natural human response. But we are not just creatures of instinct. We are beings of awareness. With that awareness comes the ability to pause, to breathe, and to think. Between stimulus and response there is a space, and in that space lies freedom. It is in that pause that you reclaim control. It is there that you decide who you will be, regardless of what has happened. Choosing your response doesn't mean pretending to be okay. It doesn't mean ignoring the pain or putting on a fake smile. It means facing what's real and deciding how to carry it. It means choosing growth over bitterness, peace over chaos, and dignity over destruction. Your response is a mirror of your mindset. Do you see yourself as a victim of life or a participant in your own transformation? That perspective shapes your path, because mindset is not just what you think, it's how you act, how you cope, and how you move forward. The power to choose your response also means taking responsibility for your healing. You may not be responsible for what happened, but you are responsible for what happens next. Blaming others, staying stuck in resentment, or waiting for someone to fix it only delays your recovery. But when you say, "This hurt me, but I will rise anyway," you shift the power dynamic. You become the author of your story, not just a character in someone else's drama. That moment of ownership becomes the turning point where healing begins. How you respond also teaches others how to treat you. If you constantly accept disrespect, betrayals, or mistreatment without setting boundaries, you're sending a message, both to them and to yourself. But when you respond with clarity, assertiveness, and self-respect, you raise the standard. You stop tolerating what drains you and start protecting what matters. Your response is not just a reaction, it's a declaration of your worth. It shows the world how seriously you take your peace and your purpose. Your response in times of adversity can become your legacy. People remember how you handled the storm more than the storm itself. Did you rise with grace? Did you act with integrity when it would have been easier to crumble? The way you carry yourself in difficulty speaks volumes about your inner world. That doesn't mean being perfect. It means being intentional. You're not always going to get it right, but each moment is another opportunity to realign with your values. Each response shapes your reputation, your resilience, and your self-respect. Even in the quiet, internal moments, your response matters. How you speak to yourself after a failure, how you process shame, how you comfort your own heart. All of this determines the quality of your emotional life. Self-talk is a form of response too. Are you cruel to yourself when things go wrong, or do you offer compassion, learning, and encouragement? The way you respond internally is just as important as the way you respond externally. It either fuels your healing or delays it. Your response creates your internal environment, and you live there every day, and sometimes the strongest response is to not respond, walking away from toxicity, choosing silence over argument, choosing patience over pressure. Not every battle is worth fighting, and not every voice deserves a reply. Strength isn't always loud. It's often quiet, strategic, and disciplined. Resisting the urge to react immediately, especially when you're hurt or angry, takes immense self-control, but that restraint is a form of wisdom. It says, I'm in charge of me, no matter what anyone else does. That's the kind of control that leads to inner peace and personal power. Pain can either extinguish your spirit or ignite a fire within you. The choice is yours. Most people try to avoid pain, suppress it, or numb it, but pain is energy. It's raw, intense, and powerful, and like all powerful forces, it can be redirected. What if, instead of letting it burn you out, you let it fuel your purpose? What if, instead of collapsing under the weight of your suffering, you used it to rise higher? Pain has the potential to be your greatest source of motivation, if you let it. The same flames that try to destroy you can become the fire that drives you forward. Think about the people who have accomplished incredible things. Many of them were driven by something deeper than ambition. Often it was heartbreak, injustice, trauma, or deep personal loss that pushed them to achieve greatness. Their pain didn't paralyze them. It lit a fire under their feet. That fire made them work harder, love deeper, create more fearlessly, and live more fully. They didn't wait for life to get easier. They used their suffering as a spark. They transformed their wounds into weapons, not of destruction, but of determination. When you let pain fuel your fire, you stop being a passive participant in your story. You stop waiting for closure, for apologies, or for the world to understand your struggle. You take what you've been given, the good, the bad, the broken, and you turn it into something that feeds your mission. That mission can be anything: building a business, pursuing education, advocating for others, healing your family, or simply becoming the person you never had growing up. Pain becomes powerful when it serves a purpose greater than itself. Using pain as fuel doesn't mean pretending everything's okay. It means allowing yourself to feel deeply, but channeling those emotions into action. Anger can be destructive, but it can also be a catalyst for change. Grief can break you down, but it can also open your heart. Disappointment can deflate you, but it can also sharpen your focus. Every painful emotion holds energy, and energy needs direction. When you harness it, pain stops being something that happens to you and starts becoming something that works for you. It's easy to fall into victimhood when you've been hurt, to believe that life is unfair and always will be. But staying in that mindset robs you of your strength. You were never meant to stay in pain. You were meant to move through it and use it. You can either let it consume you or let it drive you. Let it push you to be better. Let it be the reason you get up earlier, stay up later, try harder, speak louder. Let it keep your fire alive when the world goes cold. Let it remind you every day that you have something worth fighting for. Your fire, your drive, your passion, your purpose needs fuel to stay alive, and sometimes pain is the most potent fuel there is. It reminds you what you've survived, what you stand for, and what you refuse to go back to. It keeps you hungry. It keeps you focused. Comfort may make you complacent, but pain sharpens you. It wakes you up. It shows you that you have something to prove, not to others, but to yourself. That you are not finished, not broken, not defeated, but burning with a fire that nothing and no one can put out. Letting pain fuel your fire also means letting it add depth to your story. When you rise, you don't just rise for yourself. You become a source of light and inspiration for others who are still stuck in the darkness you once knew. Your fire becomes contagious. It spreads hope. It shows others what's possible. You stop being defined by what happened to you, and you start being defined by how you responded. That fire inside you, once lit by pain, becomes something powerful enough to light the way, not just for yourself, but for everyone around you. And in the moments when motivation fades and you feel tired, that fire, if truly fueled by purpose, will keep burning. Surface-level goals can't sustain you when things get hard, but a fire built from pain and purpose will. It's not driven by ego, but by something much deeper. It knows where you've been, what you've lost, and what you refuse to let happen again. It's the kind of fire that doesn't flicker in the wind. It roars in the face of adversity. That fire becomes your identity, your engine, and your edge. Pain doesn't just affect your emotions, it sculpts your character. It reaches into the core of who you are and starts shaping the parts that can't be touched by comfort or ease. When everything is going well, you don't often ask yourself hard questions. You don't examine your values, your boundaries, or your identity with much urgency. But pain disrupts that. It strips away the superficial and brings you face to face with who you really are. And in that raw, honest place, you're given the rare opportunity to choose the kind of person you want to become. In hardship, you find out what you truly stand for. Do you hold onto your integrity when no one is watching? Do you stay kind even when others are cruel? Do you keep your word even when it's inconvenient? These questions aren't answered in theory. They're answered in the trenches. When life is painful, your reactions become the evidence of your character. Pain doesn't just test you. It reveals you. It exposes your weak spots, your inner conflicts, and the cracks in your foundation. And if you let it, it will show you where you need to grow. Pain humbles you. It breaks down ego and pride, reminding you that you are not invincible. It levels the playing field and brings you back to the basics of humanity. You realize that no amount of success, appearance, or approval can shield you from life's trials, and that humility, while hard earned, is a gift. It opens you to learning, to listening, and to changing. It allows you to admit when you're wrong, to seek help, and to develop a deeper, more grounded sense of self. Pain knocks you off the pedestal and into a place where real transformation begins. Another powerful way pain shapes your character is by building patience. When things fall apart, when progress slows to a crawl, or when healing takes longer than expected, you learn how to wait. Not the kind of passive waiting that feels like defeat, but the kind of active, enduring patience that strengthens you from the inside out. You begin to trust the process, even when you can't see the outcome. You learn to sit with discomfort, to keep showing up, and to let time do its work. That kind of patience makes you unshakable, because you know how to stay calm in the long fight. Pain also teaches you the value of honesty, with yourself and with others. In struggle, there's no energy left for pretending. You stop performing, stop sugarcoating, and stop hiding behind masks. You begin to express your truth with clarity. You speak up about your needs, your limits, and your fears, and in doing so, you create real, honest connections. You attract people who see you as you are, not who you're trying to be. Pain shapes you into someone who no longer chases approval, but instead seeks authenticity. That honesty becomes a foundation for every meaningful relationship you build. Perhaps one of the greatest character lessons pain offers is compassion. When you've been broken, you don't look at others' struggles the same way. You become less judgmental, more understanding, more present. You stop seeing people as problems to fix and start seeing them as stories to hear. Compassion shaped by pain is deep, real, and unshakable. It allows you to hold space for others without needing to rescue them or change them. You learn how to simply be with someone in their pain because you know what that silence, that presence, truly means. Pain also forges courage, not just the kind of courage that makes headlines, but the quiet, everyday courage that shows up in small moments. It's the courage to have hard conversations, to make bold decisions, to walk away from what no longer serves you. It's the courage to keep going when nothing makes sense. Pain gives you a deeper connection to your own strength, not the loud, aggressive kind, but the resilient, consistent strength that refuses to give up. That strength is a cornerstone of character, and it is born in the fires of adversity. Ultimately, pain makes you real. It strips away the polished, rehearsed version of yourself and reveals what's underneath. That rawness, that depth, is what makes you relatable and trustworthy. You no longer need to pretend to be perfect, because you know that strength comes from the scars, not the image. Letting pain shape your character means embracing the process, not because you enjoy the suffering, but because you value who you are becoming through it. You start to see that pain isn't just an interruption to your life story. It's a powerful chapter in your evolution. There are moments in life when the world around you feels like it's falling apart. Circumstances spiral out of your control, people disappoint you, dreams slip through your fingers, and everything you once depended on feels uncertain. These are the storms of life, the emotional, spiritual, mental battles that test every part of your being. And in those moments, it may feel easier to collapse, to hide, to run, but there is another choice. You can stand tall, not because the storm isn't real, but because you are stronger than it. Not because you don't feel fear, but because you choose not to be ruled by it. Standing tall doesn't mean being unaffected by hardship. It means holding your ground in spite of it. It means refusing to let the winds of adversity push you into surrender. Your posture in pain matters. Do you shrink when things get hard, or do you rise up and meet the challenge head on? Standing tall is not about ego or pride, it's about presence. It's about saying, I'm here, I'm hurting, but I'm not backing down. When life tries to knock you off course, your stance becomes your declaration that you will not be moved. Sometimes the storm isn't visible to others. It's silent, internal, personal. You may smile in public, but feel like you're drowning in private. And still, you get up. Still, you show up for your responsibilities, your dreams, your people. That quiet strength is powerful. There is dignity in continuing, even when no one is watching or applauding. Storms have a way of stripping away validation from others and teaching you how to validate yourself. You begin to realize that your resilience isn't dependent on external support. It comes from something deeper, something rooted within. To stand tall is also to stay grounded. Storms often try to uproot us, shake our identity, shake our faith, shake our sense of purpose, but when your roots go deep, you bend without breaking. You may sway, you may stumble, but you do not fall. That grounding comes from knowing who you are and what you believe in, even when the world feels unstable. It comes from values, principles, and a vision for your life that is bigger than the chaos around you. When you stand tall, it's not because the storm has passed, it's because you've anchored yourself in something unshakable. The more storms you endure, the more confident you become in your ability to face them. Each one teaches you something new about yourself, your limits, your strengths, your faith, your grit, and slowly, standing tall becomes less about force and more about trust. You begin to trust your ability to adapt, to rebuild, to persevere. You don't need to predict the future to feel secure, because you know that no matter what comes, you will not be destroyed by it. That kind of inner certainty doesn't come from comfort. It is born and refined in the storm. Standing tall also sets a standard for those around you. Whether you realize it or not, people are watching. Your children, your friends, your community. They see how you respond when life gets hard. Your courage becomes a model. Your perseverance becomes a message. You become proof that it's possible to survive what was meant to break you. And in a world filled with fear and chaos, that kind of example is more valuable than ever. Your ability to stand tall doesn't just empower you. It inspires others to find their own strength as well. There is also a sacred defiance in standing tall. When you refuse to let pain define you, when you show up anyway, when you walk into the storm with your head held high, you are declaring that your spirit cannot be crushed. That is power, that is presence. Pain may leave scars, but those scars become part of your armor. They tell the world, I've been through the fire and I'm still here. Standing tall is a statement of survival. It's the living evidence of your endurance, your integrity, and your will to keep moving forward. And in the midst of the storm, when everything feels overwhelming, standing tall doesn't have to look dramatic. It might simply mean taking the next step, speaking the truth, holding on to hope for just one more day, choosing not to break when it would be easier to give up. These choices are quiet, but they are revolutionary. Each time you choose to rise instead of retreat, you reclaim your power. Each time you plant your feet firmly on the ground and declare, I will not be shaken, you take another step toward becoming the version of yourself that no storm can destroy. Pain, no matter how personal or profound, rarely has to be faced alone. One of the greatest strengths in turning pain into power is recognizing when to seek support. Sometimes we fall into the trap of thinking that asking for help is a sign of weakness, but in reality, reaching out is a courageous act of self-awareness and resilience. It's an acknowledgement that growth doesn't happen in isolation. When you lean on others, whether friends, family, mentors, or professionals, you build a network of strength that can help carry you through your darkest moments. Seeking support also opens the door to new perspectives. When you're immersed in your pain, it can feel like you're trapped in a narrow tunnel with no way out. Other people's experiences, insights, and encouragement can shine light into that tunnel and reveal paths you hadn't considered. Sometimes, simply knowing you're not alone in your struggle can be incredibly healing. It reminds you that pain is a universal human experience, not a personal failure or an isolated burden. This connection fosters hope and strengthens your resolve to keep moving forward. Growth through support isn't just about getting help, it's about learning from others. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you open the possibility of being taught, challenged, and inspired. Supportive relationships hold up a mirror, showing you both your strengths and areas for growth. They can help you identify patterns, confront limiting beliefs, and develop healthier ways of coping. This kind of feedback is essential for transformation. Pain becomes more than just suffering. It becomes an opportunity for real, lasting change. Another powerful element of seeking support is the creation of accountability. When you share your goals, struggles, and progress with others, you create a system of encouragement and motivation. People who care about you want to see you succeed, and their belief in you can fuel your own belief in yourself. Accountability partners remind you of your purpose when your own strength falters. They celebrate your victories and help you stay on course. This dynamic interaction helps ensure that the pain you endure leads to meaningful growth rather than stagnation. Support networks also provide emotional safety. Pain can be isolating, leaving you feeling vulnerable and exposed. Having people who listen without judgment, who accept you in your rawest moments, creates a safe space where healing can begin. Emotional safety fosters trust, not only in others but in yourself. It teaches you that you deserve kindness and understanding, which is foundational for rebuilding confidence and self-worth. When you know you have a safe harbor to return to, the storms of life feel less intimidating. In seeking support, it's also important to remember that growth is a journey, not a destination. The people who walk with you may change over time, and so will your needs. Sometimes you need a friend who listens. Other times you need a mentor who pushes you. Sometimes professional help is necessary to navigate complex trauma or grief. Being open to different kinds of support at different times shows flexibility and wisdom. Growth isn't linear, and neither is healing. Embracing this truth keeps you patient and compassionate with yourself. Moreover, growing through support teaches humility. It reminds you that you don't have all the answers, and that's okay. Being willing to receive help is a sign of strength, not weakness. It takes courage to admit that you can't do everything alone. This humility creates space for learning, empathy, and connection. It also models a healthy way of living for others who may be struggling with similar challenges. When you seek and accept support, you break the cycle of isolation and empower others to do the same. Finally, support combined with growth creates resilience that lasts. When you build strong relationships and develop new skills through your pain, you're not just surviving, you're thriving. You transform your suffering into wisdom, compassion, and strength. That foundation helps you face future challenges with greater confidence and grace. You become a source of hope and guidance for others. In this way, seeking support doesn't just heal wounds. It cultivates a life rich with meaning, connection, and power. In life's toughest moments, pain may feel overwhelming, but it is never the end of your story. By choosing how you respond, fueling your inner fire, allowing pain to shape your character, standing tall through the storm, and seeking support to grow, you transform pain into power. Remember, strength is not the absence of struggle, but the courage to rise despite it. So stay strong, keep moving forward, and let your journey inspire others, because the greatest power lies within you.